Parker Hesse, this is Sam Branks. You have the pleasure of listening to Hawkeyes and Tallboys. Cheers, motherfuckers.
Welcome to the Hawkeyes and Tallboys podcast, featuring your hosts, Bo Freeborn.
You know, guys, even though we get 2 conference losses, we're still going to end up 9-3. We're going to win the West, for sure.
Dylan Pond.
Here's the thing, fellas. I'm going with it. 12-0, baby. We're going to do it. Let's fucking go. Woo!
And Rob Wall.
I mean, that would be shocking. But we can do it. I mean, I think we can.
So crack a tall boy and go Hawks.
Okay, welcome into another episode of Hawkeyes and Tallboys. I'm Rob.
I'm Dylan.
And I'm Bo.
And then tonight we have some special guests with us. Coming from the Nebraska fandom, we have Zach Santi, the strength and conditioning coach in Nebraska. He's a lifelong Nebraska fan. He's on Twitter at ZSJRE5. Welcome, Zach.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
And not last but not least, it's Carolina Husker, Thomas Smith. He's a fanatic Nebraska fan, living in South Carolina now. If you couldn't tell by his accent, you'll know it when he talks. He's at Husker Tom 1997. Welcome, Tom.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And guys, I'm thirsty, so let's go ahead and crack a beer like we always do. Cheers.
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 I don't know if you can see, but I'm actually having a little Hawktoberfest
Go.
tonight in celebration of the Hawkeyes. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. 2 special guests from Nebraska. I'd love to have. This year we're actually doing a little kind of a special spot with each episode. We're going to have different special guests on to tell us a little bit about the fandom and things. So we'll go ahead and kick us off so that our listeners can learn a little bit more about you guys. So if you don't mind, just telling us a little bit about, how you became a Nebraska fan.
Zach, you want to go first with me?
Yeah, I'll go first. I've been a Husker fan my entire life. I remember, obviously the 95 game. I had a Tommy Frazier jersey on number 15 and thought I was Tommy Frazier, running around the house, doing everything. Hey, I'm doing the run too. But no, just been a fan forever. And it's been kind of crazy how fast and bad the last 10 years have been, but still here, still hanging around and enjoying every minute of it, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like he said, except the jersey parts. I grew up in the dark ages of Nebraska football. So I was born in the 1990s. So I was a kid in diapers watching the national championship. So I watch them on YouTube whenever I get a chance. My first memories of Husker football was like maybe 2000 or 2004. My parents always had it on in the living room, so I didn't have a choice. So I was watching it here in South Carolina. And I didn't get to watch Clemson or Georgia or South Carolina. It was all Husker football. So I was ingrained in it from the moment I was born. Just my whole room basically has Husker stuff. I had nothing else. Nothing else is allowed. I think my first defining moment of solidifying my fandom was probably when Ndamukong Suh got recruited and he started being a beast, when I started becoming a real big fan. And then obviously you've seen the last decade and a half, but I haven't lost the faith ever. I grew up on the Colorado rivalry, and then it switched to Iowa, so I didn't see all the other matches they had in the 90s, 80s, or 70s. So this is the newest rivalry for me, and I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And then Zach, what about you? As far as like, what would you say is your biggest cherished memory for as far as Nebraska football goes?
I can tell you it may not be my most cherished moment, but early in Nebraska football that I recall, 2001, that game against Miami, I really remember that game very vividly, and it kind of just hammered whatever my fandom is at this point home. It's the first time I really remember Nebraska just getting destroyed by a team. That's probably the worst moment as a fan. the best was just, let's be honest, it was the 90s in general. I mean, those guys, the teams were phenomenal. I enjoyed some moments under Bo. I thought the Frost hire was going to be huge and beautiful. And hey, we're all going to be sunshine and rainbows. Not there yet. But that was another pretty high moment for me, was when Frost got brought on.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, we've all seen kind of how that has played out so far, and I feel like he's sort of in a hot seat situation. So I'm curious to see how long they'll let, him go, him have a crack at it, honestly. But we can talk about that in a second. I'm sure we have tons of things to talk about. But first, guys, we need to take a step into our time machine, run it back a week ago. The Hawkeyes took on the Fighting Illini of Illinois at home at Kinnick Stadium at 1:00. It was a game that really sort of defined our defense, in my opinion. Hawks won 33-23. And just to give you a brief overview of the box score here, guys, Padilla, starting quarterback, making his second career start. He was 6 for 17 for 83 yards and a pick, which wasn't necessarily impressive. But there was some very impressive stats, not in the offensive category. Our defense obviously came away with a pick 6 from Jack Campbell and another interception from Dane Belton. We did have Charlie Jones return a kick, who I have been waiting this entire season to see. He finally did it this last week against Illinois. I knew he was returning it as soon as he took the first cut. It looked like he kind of was going to beat the edge, the defender to the edge there, to the sideline. So unbelievable game, guys. It looked like we were sort of in charge the entire way. It kind of got a little bit close there in the third quarter as our offense kind of stalled out, but we really were bailed out. And honestly, I think another guy who deserves a lot of credit, and I'll kind of toss it over to Dylan Bowe to get your thoughts, but Caleb Shudak, he had a 51-yarder, I believe, and a 48-yarder, which is just awesome, kind of boosting his stock as he, put a couple through the uprights there.
Dude, yeah, the dude's got a cannon for a leg, and I think he missed a 53-yarder, but it really wasn't too far off. But I mean, talk about Torrey Taylor too. I think he had a terrific game. I think over a 46-yard average, and then also you talk about the kick return with Charlie Jones. So our special teams look really good. I think overall, a win's a win. We'll take it.
That's right. And it's kind of been a testament all year long to for the most part, an average to below average offense, being saved by, superb special teams and a superb defense. So, that's just been the story all year long, and wasn't really too surprised to see it. I guess, hearing Alex Padilla's stats was a little bit surprising there, just because, he had 4 or 5, arguably even 6 drops this game. So I wouldn't take too much into that. Just not a very good day from our receiving core, but positives on the offense, the offensive line that I have been just brutal for, did exceptional. So that was great to see. And just overall, just another stellar performance by our special teams and defense. And we keep carrying that into this week. I think we're going to have a good day in Lincoln.
Absolutely, guys. So that's pretty much our recap of the game. I mean, without further ado, I just want to get right into it and stop letting our special guests take a back seat. Guys, so we're going to be playing this annual rivalry game on Black Friday, as it normally is, as it should be. All is right. It falls right in the world. It's going to be on Big Ten Network at 12:30 p.m. And we're going to be playing, it looks like, in Nebraska. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep, Lincoln.
So I remember looking at this game at the beginning of the year, and you kind of mentioned it, Zach, but or maybe it's not, but you guys mentioned it. I think that before the season, we were talking about this before the podcast. Anyways, before the season, I was kind of looking at this game like, I don't know, in Nebraska, like they've had another year under Scott Frost, like in the preseason, it's like, how good are we going to be? I knew we had a gauntlet to get through before we got to this game, but here we are. And so I just like to turn it over to you. I mean, this isn't really the game that we thought it was going to be, but nevertheless, I still think it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, with what we thought we were going to get at the beginning of the season to where we're at now, I think maybe you guys are a lot closer to where you thought you would be than Nebraska fans thought we would be. And you really kept just dagger in the heart with the special teams talk during the breakdown, by the way. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. I do think that, the defense hasn't given up, which I said during the Ohio State game, if that defense laid down in that game, we know he lost the team. I don't think he lost the team at all. They'll come out fighting. The Iowa game's always a tough one for both sides, it seems like.
Yeah, they're always one possession games for the past few matchups, especially how talented Iowa's been and how Nebraska keeps finding ways to beat themselves up every single weekend. So it's definitely going to be interesting of who shows up and who doesn't. But special teams, like he said, might just be a deciding factor in this game in Friday.
But you know what? You look at it too, and from my perspective, outsider's perspective, Nebraska hangs in there. Like all of your losses are one score, right? You've won some, you've won 3, and you've lost some that you probably should have won too. I mean, that Minnesota game right there, Purdue game right there, Michigan State, all right there. And then obviously hanging in there with OU and Ohio State both. I mean, your defense, now I understand, there's been some injuries out there, but your defense has been stellar and your offense in those games has been good enough to hang around, just one play away from being right there and getting that win.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of super seniors on our defense. Some of them are injured, 3 of them, I think. We had a lot of new guys against Wisconsin. They were finding their own, so we saw a lot of new guys get reps, so that's always valuable. But I think they show up. It's definitely a hard-hitting helmet game, for sure.
Now, good. I'm glad you brought up Wisconsin too, because obviously you guys' offense exploded, unlike Iowa when they played against Wisconsin. What did you guys really like about what the team you saw there and what they're going to bring up against Iowa this upcoming weekend?
You want this one, Zach?
Oh yeah, I'll take it. I'll be honest. I thought the offense, for the most part, looked revitalized. It seemed like a more explosive offense, if that's possible. In the middle of the field, between the 20s, they're great. That hadn't been where they've had a problem. It's once you get inside the 20, or God forbid you put special teams out there. But offensively, I think they're just doing exactly what they need to do, and I do think that they could give Iowa some fits with kind of some of the same stuff that they were doing against Wisconsin.
I'm a little nervous too about the deep game. I mean, now you're not going to have Adrian Martinez this week, but Samori Torrey, a couple of deep balls last week, and he's been doing that really all season long. But Iowa has, in my opinion, been burned by the deep ball too many times over the last few years. They like to keep everything in front of them, and I think that Samori Torrey is a guy that has big play potential and really scares me then too. And now with your 2 running backs, I know you guys are really deep and on the depth chart with Marquise Stepp and Marvin Scott. I mean, those guys are 2 bruisers, even though they're young. I mean, there's some thick dudes and there's some bruisers too. So it really makes me interested to see how Iowa's defense can cover all 3 of those guys.
I think we actually do something a little bit different. Speaking of Nebraska news, Austin Allen just declared that he's not coming back to Nebraska next year, so he'll be foregoing to the draft. So this will probably be a big game for him and the tight ends in ours. Nebraska has seemed to incorporate the tight ends a lot more over the past 3 or 4 games. So they've definitely stretched the field more with them. So you got to be worried about tight ends than you do our wide receivers. Vokalek and Austin Allen are definitely a duo you got to watch out for.
So,
it mirrors kind of what Iowa does because y'all are tight end you. So
right. Well, tell you what, though,
a great tight end.
With Adrian Martinez being out, I mean, are you worried about? Oh God, his name already escaped me, but
Smothers.
Smothers. Thank you. Smothers coming in there and being able to sling the rock. And to be honest with you, I haven't seen a whole hell of a lot of film on him, but went back and watched some of his plays in the spring game and looked like he had some trouble throwing the ball. So I guess, can you guys just comment a little bit on that and how you see that quarterback situation shaking out on Saturday?
Yeah. I mean, they reworked his throwing motion, I know, in spring, which is always seems to kind of be a nightmare with quarterback. Once you start messing with mechanics, it's never a good thing, especially once you get to college. But, he's in limited action. He's fast. He's real quick. He's sudden. But that's not what you want to hear out of your quarterback. You want to hear he can throw it accurately and hit a guy deep. I hope he's got the arm for it, but I would be prepared to see a heavy run attack this weekend. That's what I think they're going to go in with, more of a triple option as opposed to three yards in a cloud of dust. But hey, if it works with that RPO, then hey, then you can start going over top with your play action passes.
And I will say that, there's teams that have played the RPO pretty successfully against us, and one of them is Colorado State. It seemed like they, it was a game that, they were sort of in for the most part until they started throwing interceptions. But I mean, it was a game that it could have gone another way. And it was early in the season, I know. But speaking of the, seasons and records and things, obviously, so you guys are 3-8, 1-7 in conference. But don't let that record fool you. Listeners, if you're, keeping track, I mean, if you take a look at Nebraska's season thus far, in the games that they've lost, and you throw out the game against, at Oklahoma, number 3 in the nation, at home versus Ohio State, which was 26-17 loss, which is respectable against, the best team in the Big Ten. It's all been 1-score games, a touchdown or less. And that's I can just list them off. At Michigan State, they lost by 3, 23-20. Versus Michigan, 32-29. Minnesota, 30-23. Purdue, 28-23. Wisconsin, 35-28 most recently. These are games that could have gone either way. And I just am, I think that they're a team that you can't sleep on.
Well, definitely, you're right about that. I just don't think that we have to let the game come down to the last 2 or 3 minutes and let it be decided by referees. That's all I have to say.
And a little salty from last week.
In the Michigan game, how was that pass interference on JoJo Doman on an uncatchable ball, but we get called for it? But literally a defender runs straight into our guy and the ball hits our guy and we don't get a call. Okay. They just don't want to see us succeed and be good. I understand. They don't want to see us be, back to what we used to be. Got to keep the thumb down and haze us a little bit more. I get it. Ain't no problem. But I think this game is going to be one of those old-fashioned, 17-14 kind of games.
Well, yeah, and if you look back at the matchup, and this is actually considered the Heroes game, and we're playing for the Heroes Trophy. And so right now, all time, Nebraska actually leads the series 29-19 and 3 ties all time. Now the trophy series, Iowa leads 7-3 because it's only been 10 years. But in that last 10 years, Nebraska has won obviously 3 times. But the last time they won in Nebraska, in Lincoln, Nebraska, was actually almost 10 years to the day, November 25th, 2011. Just some interesting things to note. But yeah, so one thing that we need to get to that I'm not sure if we did yet with this Nebraska team. So we heard that Adrian Martinez is not going to be taking the starting snaps here. I'd love to, if you wanted to let us know and give us some information maybe about who's going to be, taking over the snaps there. And then what are some, guys to look out for who are, going to be playmakers on this offense?
Well, Smothers, obviously you have to watch out for him from the quarterback position because that's the dude that's going to be handling the ball 85 times. I think that kid may have a little bit of this is a hope, obviously, but a little bit of freshman Martinez in him, kid that's not afraid to rip it. Hey, you know what? It's your first start. Let's go. Let's do what you got to do. But out of the backfield, if Step is healthy, big back, about 220 pounds, I believe. Yant, if he can get in there, once again, another big back. I believe Ramir is a game time decision, which is always kind of iffy for a guy like that. Brody Belt, seen a lot of time against Wisconsin. And then out on the receiver spots, Torrey, obviously. I think he's 7th in the conference right now with 860-ish yards. Manning's a big presence. Austin Allen's going pro. Guys you got to watch out for. Betts, that's another freak athlete, but can he put it together and show up when he needs to is the big thing.
I think recruiting's been crazy at Nebraska. You guys have a ton of talent. I mean, there's a ton of dudes on the roster that can play ball. I think it all just boils down to coaching and execution. If they can get it all together and make the play at the right time. But you guys got a lot of studs. What about the defense side? I know JoJo Doman's not going to be playing this week. who should we watch out for as an Iowa offense to see who's going to be tackling their dudes all week?
Defense, we'll do defensive line. We have a new guy called Nash Hutmaker who might be seeing some extended reps during the game. He's called the Polar Bear.
Polar Bear.
He's actually a really big guy from South Dakota. He's awesome. Ben Stilley, he's a super senior. He's probably going to have a big game. He's our big nose tackle. So he's definitely
Stilley's been there for a long time, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, dude, he's old man grade back there. He's definitely the cornerstone of our defense since JoJo's gone now. He's a heck of a warrior, by the way, playing with a broken hand in the Ohio State game. On our linebacker core, you got, some of the studs that are the group itself. So I'll have to look up for maybe Garrett Nelson or Luke Reimer. Those guys are definitely fast, heat-seeking linebackers who are tough, Nebraska boys. And if you have to do defensive backs, you got to look out for Cam Taylor-Britt. That man's a monster. He's probably going to be, a second-day draft pick. Dude's feisty and probably wants to get an Iowa victory in his time here. So those are probably some of the guys you got to watch.
Say Cam Taylor-Britt, that's another one that feels like he's been there about 10 years. So
he's definitely
he's
a
got
staple.
to be getting ready to graduate. Oh, yeah.
Now it's time to hear about Iowa. Let's hear about them bad boys.
Oh, absolutely. I guess, starting on the offensive side of the ball, you're going to see one or two quarterbacks. More than likely, Alex Padilla is going to start the game there. Loved what we see out of him. Basically, he's got the stature, the poise that Spencer Petras holds in the pocket, but with the ability to escape. So I think people had Iowa figured out early on in the season where, if you rush the hell out of Spencer Petras, they're going to have a bad day. And so ever since then, we've seen a little bit more of the PA rollouts and that sort of thing. And so you'll see Alex Padilla there, running back, former All Big Ten, Tyler Goodson, 55 yards away from hitting 1,000 on the year. So hot take, we will see that here this week. He will rush for over 55 yards. And that's not my hot take that we'll go over later. But just wanted to throw that out there. As far as that goes, then tight end, Sam Laporta, another one. He's going to have, we're going to be looking at him. He's kind of that security blanket, especially for Petras, but is kind of finding his way a little bit with Alex Padilla as well. This name might ring a bell to some of you guys, straight out of Bellevue West, Nebraska, or I guess that's Omaha technically, but Bellevue West High School, the son of two-time Nebraska national champion, Cluster Johnson.
Yep.
Cluster. Yep. You'll have Keegan Johnson playing. Really have seen him come on these last couple games and kind of become that go-to guy for Alex Padilla. So they spent a lot of time together in the spring and the early offseason on the second team. So look for him to have a big game. I know he's excited to get back in front of, his hometown family and friends. Other side, then you got, Charlie Jones. And for the first time, you don't talk a lot about it with the Iowa football offense, but they just have a plethora of receiving talent. I know I touched on Keegan Johnson there, Arlen Bruce, both another true freshman that's going to see a lot of playing time. You'll see him in the slot quite a bit as well. So who did I say? Keegan Jones or Charlie Jones, Keegan Johnson, Arlen Bruce. Look for a little bit of Nico Reganey, get some time in the slot, Tyrone Tracy. So just a plethora of talent out there to go along with the tight end. And as far as offensive line, it's not going to be your typical Iowa offensive line that you guys have grown to know these past couple of years playing Iowa. A lot of young talent there, and hopefully getting Mason Richmond back this week. I know they said he's iffy as well. Sorry, I had a dog run over by me and distract me a little bit, but that's what I know. You know what I'm talking about there, Zach. I saw your pooch come on.
Oh yeah,
as well.
I got two Great Danes. They're back there sleeping right now.
Two of them. Oh, damn,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we
right.
got a male and a female, about 300 pounds worth of dog. It's phenomenal.
Ooh, hell yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, offensively, I'd say the biggest weakness, which isn't typical of an Iowa team, would probably be in that offensive line play and just the inconsistencies you're seeing there. But the guys are gelling a little bit and showing off quite a bit.
Don't you have the best center in the nation right now, and Tyler Lindenbaum? Is that what his name is?
Yeah. Tyler Linderbaum. But if you guys have been listening, I've been very, very critical of this offensive line. Obviously, Tyler Linderbaum is a freak in his own. Nose tackle that. How do you pronounce his last name? I think I missed it earlier.
Stilly.
Thank you. So yeah, that Stilly Linderbaum matchup is going to be a fun one to watch on Friday afternoon. So yeah, obviously Linderbaum's a freak. More than likely, first round pick in the NFL here coming up in the draft here in April. But yeah, I guess overall that's kind of our offense in a nutshell. With the exception of Linderbaum, a lot of inexperience on that offensive line. I guess Bo, Rob, you guys got anything to add there when it comes to the Hawkeye offense?
Well, I really think too that the offensive line has been a lot better with Padilla now that he's able to, stretch the pocket a little bit, be able to run, move his feet, as opposed to just stand there in the backfield like a tree. I think I've said that multiple weeks in a row, but I think that they have become a little bit more of a cohesive unit because they've been able to not, continue to bring in new guys. They've been more of a solid unit as opposed to throwing this guy in at guard, this guy in at tackle, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's been key, but also getting a good mix of a quarterback there. Those guys have looked good the last 2 weeks, hoping that they can continue to do that against a really good Nebraska D-line.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that Padilla gives them a little bit more flexibility in, having to, block the guys. I mean, obviously, there's going to be times where he's not going to have all day to throw, but I mean, he's able to escape when he can. He can shown that he's been able to step up in the pocket and make throws when he needs to. I think that he operates the pocket a little bit better than Spencer does. And so far, I really haven't seen a downtick in like the quality of his ball that he's throwing. So, I think he's able to make this offense work better. Maybe if we had some guys that, we lost, that were protecting Spencer last year when he was able to sit back there and throw to guys like who have been shown to really get open, like Amir Smith-Marset, and Brandon Smith, big targets like that. That's maybe, some reasons why he would have thrived versus Padilla. But I think Padilla is able to better work with the guys that we have. And it's kind of just proofs in the pudding at this point.
On the defensive side of things too, I really want to see, what Iowa's D line does against Nebraska's O line. And Zach, I'll pass this one to you. What does Nebraska's O line bring to the table? Are they any good? I know that they are a little experienced, but are they good? Are they bad, average? What do you think here?
Man, you got to give me this one, huh? I will say the Teddy Prohaska injury at left tackle was a key injury for the year. I really think we've probably got 2 or 3 guys playing out of position. I think both your tackles should be guards, in all honesty. You've seen, and I don't like mentioning kids' name by name, but we're talking about them, so I got to. You've got Corcoran on the left side that in a phone booth I think would be absolutely phenomenal. It's a mean, big kid that's got feet-ish, but he can't do it out on the edge. He just doesn't have the kick step to get there without getting beat inside. And then, we literally have the same problems with Ben Hart on the right side. If you've got a speed rusher that can beat him outside once, he's going to take inside the rest of the game and, just really abuse him. Much like you guys' offensive line, our strength, center. I've been saying throughout the year, I think Linderbaum is far away the best center in the Big Ten. I think Cam is somewhere probably in the 2 to 3 range. He's up there with him, not as good. But Linderbaum is an absolute freak stud that I'm excited to watch him as a Nebraska fan even. I just think Nebraska's offensive line is really going to have their work cut out for them with a stout defensive line that can rush the passer and can stall everything up at the line too.
That's the thing. I want to see what Iowa's D-line can do because I think we talk about this all the time. They're not there to go get the stats, sacks, pressures, all this and that. Their main thing is to contain, make sure they contain the run, contain the quarterback. So if this is an O-line that is suspect to, a lot of pressure, and now with a new quarterback who doesn't know much of the system, hasn't had really any playing time at all, I really want to see what Phil Parker does because we all know what Iowa's secondary is capable of. So I'm really curious to see what they do, if they're going to mix up blitzes, if they're going to be able to get a pressure on their own without even having blitzes too. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead there, Zach.
Oh, no, I was just going to say with that, it's almost like playing a 3-4 that the line is just designed to clog up holes with a big nose tackle, even though that's not what you guys play, but you've got such active linebackers and safeties that it's, hey, just let us make the plays. You just stall everything up.
Yep.
Right. Right. And that's pretty much echoing exactly what I was going to say there. I think, typically when you watch an Iowa defense, you're going to see one of two defenses out there. They're either going to run that 4-2-5 where they throw in that cash position, that linebacker safety hybrid, or you're going to see a 4-3. And this week, especially with Martinez going down, I think you're going to see that 4-3. So we're going to see a lot of Justin Jacobs and that Leo outside linebacker spot, along with Seth Benson and obviously middle linebacker Jack Campbell, who's been having a field day all year long. So between those three, they're going to have their work cut out for them. They're going to be flying all over the field. And obviously sounds like a good chance that Jack Corner is back at that safety spot as well. So might see him if he's not going so hot. We'll see a little bit of Kayvon Merriweather along with Dane Belton back there. And corners, actually a name that Iowa fans are going to recognize. Cut into the 2 deep. Cooper DeJean, former Iowa Gatorade Football Player of the Year. So cut into the 2 deeps at a cornerback spot, which is kind of surprising to some Iowa fans because I think we were thinking of him more as a safety down the road. But yeah, and then Hankins being out as well. So you're going to see Jamar Harris, potentially Terry Roberts. And then from there, it's going to be kind of cornerback by committee. So what's been a strength for the Hawkeyes all year long, I think could potentially be exposed as a weakness. So that's one thing to look out for as well.
Hey, Carolina, I got a question for you. If you are the OC, if you are Scott Frost, right, this weekend, what do you do to beat Iowa's defense on offense?
What I would do, I would attack the middle of the field. I wouldn't try to do the outsides. I would make crossing routes on the inside of your field. Make your linebackers run into picks, try to set up some screens, jet sweeps, east to west.
Well, we know Scott Frost is listening, so he wanted some of your
he's probably jotting it down right now during his sports night and Husker talk,
So
actually, what's funny is Thomas Fedoni played in the Wisconsin game, so we actually might see a little bit of him against Iowa. So you got the Keegan Johnson Fedoni matchup.
For sure. So let me ask you this.
Absolutely.
This rivalry here, I know Iowa has won 7 of the last 10, but I mean, do you guys feel like this is a huge rivalry between the two of us? I know there's a lot of shit talking on Twitter. Obviously, love it. We don't like Nebraska. Nebraska doesn't like Iowa. Like, do you guys feel like this is a huge game, not only for Nebraska, but just for the two institutions?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I do too. When Nebraska got to the Big Ten, everyone said Nebraska, Iowa, it's a rivalry. No, they just share a border. That's not a rivalry. Now it's a rivalry. I'd say probably the last about 4 or 5 years, it's grown into what we could all say. Yeah, this is a rivalry. I know I look forward to watching the guys play Iowa. I'm sure Iowa fans love watching Iowa beat Nebraska the last few years, but it's blossomed into something fun. It's not a hateful rivalry like Colorado was. It doesn't have the respect of an Oklahoma, but I mean, you can't not respect Iowa with what they've done. They've just been steady throughout. So I mean, got to respect them for what they've done. Plus, last 6.
I think it's a rivalry just because of that. We had there's an all-time series lead, obviously, but now that we actually see this game getting played year in and year out, and obviously being dominated in a decade definitely does wear on your skin. So when Nebraska eventually does possibly win a game against Iowa, then it's like, okay, now you're punching back and forth. Can we get 2 or 3 to make it, competitive? Once Nebraska can actually start competing in this rivalry is when it's going to start heating up. So I'm actually pretty excited to see what we do in the coming years, especially if we're going to be in the Big Ten for multiple decades.
So now that this is, we've all kind of, agreed that this is a huge rivalry. So what happens with the coaching staff? So Rob alluded to this at the beginning. Scott Frost may be on the hot seat. I don't think that's the case, but I do think that this game this week is a huge statement game for the coaching staff, not only for them to go into the off season as, hey, we came out victorious, especially making Iowa not go to Indianapolis, canceling their chances there too. But how does this program move forward? Do you guys have anybody on your radar that you're looking at for an OC or, any of those offensive coaching positions that they let go here 2 weeks ago?
I haven't heard a single name pop up, actually. I've seen 14, 15, 17 names pop as a rumor, and I haven't seen any definite traction on anything. So if we have to do a wish list, you can give me Tom Herman. That's what I'd pick.
I've heard that name floating around.
I'd say Tom Herman or Dan Mullen. He just got fired. You know, we could use him. He's a good offensive coach.
No way
like
he's
him.
gonna be an OC after being a head coach in Florida, though.
I mean, you never know.
You
Some
wouldn't
people might
think
want to
so.
step down. Oh, you know, who was it? Who just got fired from the Giants today? Garrett. You can give me him. His clapping abilities. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want him. He sucks. I actually didn't mind Lubick. I actually liked our offensive coordinator. I didn't mind him. I thought he actually had some brilliant plays. He likes to do a lot of misdirection, a lot of eye candy in the back that got people, you know, miss up their assignments. I just think the playbook was a little bit complicated for some new guys who weren't used to that or didn't have the interest to dive deep into the playbook to get on the field.
Sure.
You know, I don't know if Frost, you know, so much this year's on the hot seat. Like you said, hey, if we can beat Iowa, this is our Super Bowl right now. Prepare like it.
For sure.
Because, hey, you could ruin another team's day. So let's do that. Let's go out on a good note. You know, obviously a lot of positional changes with the coaching. Give me a big name OC, a Fuente, hey, maybe even a Lashley from Miami. If I could be honest, I want to steal Coastal Carolina's coaching staff plus their O-line coach. Willie Corn and Durkin. So if you give me those two, I'm good with it. But give me a big name OC. Give me some developers proven at your position spots, and then we'll see what happens from there. I do think Frost needs to win 8 games next year to keep his job, though.
Wow.
He has to hire a special teams coordinator if he wants to keep his job.
Well, he's got to make a lot of changes to keep that job.
Like, there's just no way. Like, there's just no way you can watch every single game that we've been in for the past couple years and just be like, oh yeah, it was our offense. No, it's been our special teams. Legitly, you just need to hire a legit special teams coordinator because you have to win all facets of the game. That's why we lost against Wisconsin. Kickoff return, the first kickoff.
You're good.
Like, I was like, dude, are you kidding me? And then I just turned it off for about 20 minutes because I was just fuming because I was like, oh, here we go. So
No, and that's just fucking fine that you say that, Thomas. But
okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to drop it. I was just frustrated because like it's just one of those things.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Did you hear our intro? For Christ's sakes.
Oh, I did.
I
just like to be respectful in other people's podcasts. Yeah, I don't like to.
That's just fine, buddy. That's just fine. But no, I love that you say that. I saw a lot of Nebraska backlash when, you know, asked about all the coaching changes that Scott Frost said. Well, you know, actually, I think our special teams coordinator has done a hell of a job. And, you know, I just see jaws drop nationwide. You know, I think I felt it a little bit here in Iowa where it's like, what?
So, Dill, let me ask you this.
More.
Let me ask you this, Dill. This is just for you. What's worse, Scott Frost saying that about their special teams or Matt Campbell saying that the Big 12 title wasn't their hope this year?
That's gotta be Matt Campbell, bro.
Oh my God, that was bad too. I think,
so bad.
You know, what Matt
participation trophies.
Right. What Matt Campbell was trying to do there was, hey, you know, not shit on a complete season. And I get that, you know, he's a player's coach, doesn't want to throw his guys under the bus. I get it. But to say that winning a Big 12 championship or winning a conference title is not your goal, that's just asinine. I think, you know, anytime, you know, Kirk Ferentz is one of those guys that he will never, ever, ever throw a player under the bus in a post-game interview or in interviews throughout the week. So you'll never see that. But even then, you know, he says it all the time. It's like, yeah, our first goal is to win the Big 10 West and we'll worry about everything else later. You know, like, you know, you heard some of that playoff talk early on in the season before Iowa dropped 2 in a row. And he's like, whoa. Yeah, we just want to win the Big 10 West. So that's, for him to say that, that's just absolutely horrible. I mean, I get what he was trying to do. I really do. But yeah,
that COVID year got to him.
That's a loser's mentality.
It really is. That COVID year got to him and Tom Allen. It definitely peaked how they looked, and it was a false setting for both of them.
Oh, absolutely. That Tom Allen comparison with that Indiana team is such a phenomenal comparison. I remember us gearing up for that Indiana game and us talking about it here on this podcast, and we were worried, you know, just the way that they had played and everything, and just kind of one of those COVID teams that have got exposed, just kind of like Iowa State. So, no, I'm
not gonna lie. When we lost the legacy to Indiana, I put on my Twitter and I ruffled some feathers and I said, Indiana's not gonna win more than 3 games. I gave them their FCS game, I gave them Idaho, and I gave them something else. And they've only won 2. And I was very spot on my prediction because Indiana, I'm sorry to every Indiana followers, but y'all have never been great in football, ever. They probably had 10 winning seasons ever in their whole history.
Right.
And they thought they were going to win the national championship or contend for the Big Ten East this year. And I was like, yeah, y'all got a lot of work to do. Doubt that.
And they're 0-8 now.
But they love each other, though. Don't forget that. They love each other. You can have that all day. You can have your slogan.
Leo.
He's like those creepy dentists. When you walk in, he's just smiling the whole time. Nah, bro. I'd take Matt Campbell over Tom Allen any day.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting game, guys, this Friday. Like I said, it's a 12:30 kickoff on Black Friday at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. Right now, it's overcast with a high of 62. Kind of a really nice weather for a football game, in my opinion. And so I don't know if it's fully sold out at this point, but I know 90,000 fans.
Wait, Rob.
Yeah.
Every game that
Here it comes.
has is a sellout. Every game they have is a sellout.
You better get it right. You better get it right. That's the only thing we got going for us. Get it right.
Oh yeah, those tickets are sold.
You know how you go to school, you go and screw Pepsi bottles, and there's those codes on the bottom of the bottles. That's where you get your tickets from. Okay, just let you know. Buy one get one free. It's gonna sell out. I promise.
So it's gonna sell out. Does that mean when the camera pans to the crowd, like we're gonna see no empty seats?
Just don't go to the top left corner of the stadium. Just focus on the centers, okay?
Okay, gotcha. Nobody in the top left. No worries. Who wants those seats anyways?
No, that's a good tradition though. Nebraska really does show up for this crowd regardless of the record, and it's a good thing for our state. They're very proud. They're stubborn about it. So it's kind of cool of us to have that little tradition. Other teams when they're 3-7 or whatever, there's no one in the stands. Our team, our fans show up every Saturday proud regardless of the score. So I'm pretty proud to call myself a Husker fan for that.
Perfect.
Oh, absolutely. And just so you guys know too, a few years back, I think it was 2019. So yeah, year before COVID, I went out there for that Iowa-Nebraska game and had a hell of a time. I think that was one where Keith Duncan kicked the game-winning field goal, and blew the kiss at Frost and the Nebraska sideline. But nonetheless, the folks out there, absolutely awesome. I think I got more beers given to me than, I probably have in Iowa City. So genuine people all around. They'd give you a little ribbing, and then they're like, just get on in here. And I even had one guy that was running a tailgate sign a picture of him, and yeah, he just carries around pictures of him that are laminated, and he signed it for me. And so took it home and put it on the fridge, and yeah, solid guy. So.
I want to know this. Do you guys go tailgate? Do you guys actually go to the game, or do you guys watch down at the rail yard?
I'll usually go if we go down there. We usually head to the game. Maybe rail yard for 3 or 4 or 8 beers, and then stumble into the game, and then watch whatever we're going to watch for the next 4 hours. Hopefully, good things.
I'll be honest. I've only been to Lincoln Memorial once for game day, and it was in 2009 against Missouri when we had Roy Halou. I haven't been to a home game lately. The last time I was in actual Lincoln was our spring game, which is on my banner profile. But I was at the Illinois-Nebraska game for the opening season. So I was there. So I did tailgate and go to the game.
Nice.
I did that.
Yikes.
Nice.
I was with Meg Husker. You know who that is? Hot Me Husker lady. I was at her tailgate.
Okay. Gotcha.
She's a Twitter icon for Nebraska.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, okay. Let's move on, guys. We got to get to a segment that we like to call Dylan's Keys to the Game, and then we can jump into some betting lines. We'll look at some predictions and some hot takes. We'll probably do betting lines, hot takes, then some predictions, and we'll kind of take it from there. But Dylan, what you got for us?
All righty, guys. As we step in here to Dylan's Keys to Victory, want you guys to know that I like to hold myself accountable. So we're going to briefly touch on my keys to victory from last week. So Illinois, offensively, I said the Hawkeyes needed to play to their identity. Specifically, that means, establishing a run game, using the play action pass to advance the ball. And for the most part, they did that. I know the numbers don't look pretty, but they got the job done. So that's what we did there. Defensively, I said capitalize off turnovers. Again, scoring a pick six, they absolutely did that. And then special teams, disciplined special teams between Caleb Shudak making damn near every makeable field goal he kicked, and Charlie Jones, being the stud that he is, returning the football, and Tory Taylor being one of the best punters in the land, an absolute snub for the Ray Guy Award, if you ask me. But that being said, I give myself an A+. What do you guys give me? What do you think?
Go for it.
Absolutely.
A+ too.
Okay. See, and you guys know I'm tough on myself grading.
You are.
And I think I knocked it out of the park that week. So Dylan's keys to victory for Nebraska. Offensively, it's going to be all about establishing the run game. I think we're going to see a big day out of Tyler Goodson. And I know we're playing a little bit to their strength as well, because I think, looking at that 3-4 defense, they got, 4 capable linebackers, even with JoJo Doman out and, some other notable guys out. I think I've seen Nick Heinrich come in and play some pretty good ball. So I think Iowa has the opportunity to have a pretty good run game, and especially with that 3-4, where if you can beat a linebacker, you're looking at an 8 to 10 yard carry. So if we could do that and play to our identity, and then use the rollouts, the play action pass from there, I think we're going to have a really good time on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, I wouldn't even say capitalizing off turnovers this week. I think it's all about the defensive line containing. I think you're going to see a heavy rushing attack, whether that be triple option, whether that be, quarterback rollouts and that sort of thing. Just play disciplined ball. No need for over pursuing, because we got 3 linebackers that can cover the whole field, cornerbacks that are sure-handed tacklers as well, and a couple safeties that come up and lay the boom. So I think if they just play disciplined, I don't even need to see a lot of blitz this week, to be honest with you. Just keep everything in front of you and play disciplined defense, and we're going to have a good time as well. Keep them out of the red zone. Special teams, just keep doing what you've been doing. Tory Taylor, keep booming punts. Shudak, he's going to have his moments as well. And then those of you that know, with Nebraska, typically the special teams hasn't been on par. And, I know a few of you guys might remember a few years back, Amir Smith-Marset returning a kick versus Nebraska when he guaranteed he would do one that season. Didn't happen until the last game of the year in Lincoln. And I know the folks that were around me were not thrilled to hear that he had guaranteed he would get one, and it happened against the Huskers. But keep doing what we're doing there. I think, you're going to see some big plays out of Charlie Jones. I don't know that he necessarily takes one back for 6 again, but special teams, keep doing what you're doing, and I think we're going to have a good time. So offensively, again, we're playing to our identity. We're running to set up the pass, a little bit of play action here and there, and look for Tyler Goodson, Keegan Johnson, some of those big play threats to have a big day. Defensively, sticking to, just a base disciplined defense, and I think we'll be just fine. Special teams, keep doing what you're doing, baby. Now,
All right.
Nebraska
now
guys.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wanted to get, your guys' thoughts. So for Nebraska to come away with a win in Lincoln at Memorial Stadium, what are some things that they need to be doing?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Austin Allen, you got to get him early and often, especially if you got one-on-ones with linebackers or safeties. Got to take advantage of that. I imagine he's going to get some bracket coverage. But hey, if he's a one-on-one, take it every time. You got to commit to the run game. I don't know how many deep passes you're going to see, especially against that secondary. Like I said, I think you're going to see some blitzes from those Iowa linebackers as well, trying to heat them up off the spot a little bit more. I really think they got to commit to the run, though. That's a big thing. Defense, get a turnover, and special teams, don't shoot yourself in the foot.
To build on what he said, I don't think that honestly our running game is going to be a staple. Our running back room has been a mess all year, especially now that we have a new running back, and we were playing a walk-on running back against a top-tier defense as Wisconsin, which he ran hard, by the way. If we do commit to the run game, I feel like we're just going to be doing a lot of RPOs, or we're going to start doing a lot of our option plays that we were doing, that we brought out against Wisconsin. That was working pretty well. I feel like we might open the book up and do some trick plays, some reverse sweeps, jet sweeps, some kind of that. Alontae Brown, Xavier Betts, 2 fast guys off the edges. The tight ends, they're going to be looking at Austin Allen all day. I'm pretty sure your defense knows he's coming. So they're going to definitely be giving him double coverage, probably trying to chip him off the line, containing him because he's going to probably be the biggest number one target for Logan Smothers this weekend. Defense-wise, yes, we need turnovers, but we're always one of those teams that can just never seem to get one to bounce our way. So if we do, it's going to be one of those lucky breaks. And special teams. If we hit a field goal, Nebraska might win this game.
Yeah.
If
Well,
we can run across from the lines, we can probably win.
Let me build off what you're saying. If I am Phil Parker of our defense, I'm going to be looking up into as many players as I can on that Nebraska offense as far as trick plays go. Like, who are the receivers that can throw the ball? I can see like a reverse pass situation, a double pass. Who I'd be looking to see what position those guys played in high school.
I'll give you one name. His name is Alontae Brown. We got him out of a prep academy, and he played quarterback, and he also played wide receiver at his respective school. So I know he can do that. So if we ever do a double action pass or a flea flicker or something, he's probably gonna be that guy.
Perfect.
Okay.
That was exactly what I was looking for. That's great. Okay. So then moving on, guys, we can get to some betting lines here. So I can kind of go over that right now. According to ESPN, they kind of will list off, what they have the line set at. And they have it plus 1.5 for Nebraska. And if you go to DraftKings, because obviously our podcast is unofficially sponsored by DraftKings. So whenever they figure that out, be happy to talk to them. But yeah, so it is actually plus 1.5 for them as well. My Iowa minus 1.5 going into Nebraska. The over under right now is sit at 41, and Nebraska money line plus 100 right now odds, minus 120 for Iowa. Another game I want to give you some odds on, just to kind of let our listeners understand, because I'm going to try to preview this a little bit, but the path to a Big Ten title is going to be on the line this Saturday, and it's going to be with the Wisconsin Minnesota game. It all kind of comes down to that. So that's going to be if Minnesota wins and beats Wisconsin, then at that point we would win the Big West, or the Big Ten West. So Wisconsin is a -7, but they're playing, looks like, at 3:00. So set your TVs to that one, guys. There's probably going to be a lot of Hawkeyes tuning in to watch that game. And then other lines on that game, it's over under is 39. Minnesota's plus 225. So, never know. Kind of an underdog shot at outside chance to get into the Big Ten West title game. But okay, with all that being said, you guys, maybe we can go to some predictions or hot takes.
Ooh, we can do a little bit of both.
Yeah,
I like that.
Together.
I'll take my hot take into my prediction. So I'm going to do kind of the best of both worlds. I'll start with our hot take. I think that Iowa's defense get 5+ sacks this week. And guys, that is a hot take because we don't do that often. I will say this. I think that, based off what Zach told me about Nebraska's O-line, I think that Iowa's D-line is going to have a field day. I think Joe Evans and Vanessa are both going to have a lot of fun this weekend. So look for Iowa to get 5+ sacks. And then looking at my prediction, Iowa fans are going to be pretty upset about this, but I think Nebraska has nothing to lose. So they're going to end up winning this game 24-20. Basically, they're playing for the offseason. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with their coaching staff. They're trying to build some momentum, and I think this would be a great game for them to win. It's in Memorial Stadium. They've lost 6 straight to Iowa. This would be 7 straight. The Hero Trophy, hate to say, goes to Nebraska this week, but I think they're going to have a lot of fun over there in Lincoln after this game this weekend.
And I actually surprisingly don't hate that take, Bo, just because streaks got to end sometime. It feels like almost a trap game, if you will, which, don't get me wrong, I know I was gearing up for it, but I could see something like that potentially happening. That being said, you're wrong. So the Hawkeyes are going to win this one, and they're going to win this one 27-23. And my hot take of the game is going to be Mr. Tyler Goodson He's going to get 3 tutties on the ground, and he's going to have himself a field day. I'm going 123 rushing yards.
Oddly specific.
Okay, hot takes for me, guys. Last week I said Monte Potty Bomb getting in the end zone, and guess what? He didn't do it. So we're doing it again, baby. I just want to see that blonde mullet spiking the ball like we all know he wants to, and I hope that happens in Lincoln. It's a hot take. I think he only has 1 on the year, so like to see that happen again, because I can't give you a hot take that Charlie Jones is going to take it all the way on a kick return, because that's probably going to happen, to be honest. I think that the Hawks come away with a win here. I don't think it's going to be a weird score like I said last time. I think I gave a scoregami or something like that last time. But this is going to be a win between or with the Hawkeyes going 27-24. So fairly straightforward prediction by me. We'll toss it down to Zach. What do you think?
I guess for my hot take, I will say the defense gets 2 interceptions. And I'm going to say Nebraska gets over 100 yards rushing. May or may not be a hot take there, especially with how they've ran the ball. I'm going to double that up. As a team, they break over 200 yards rushing.
Wow.
As a team.
200.
200 as a collective. I think they're going to go run heavy. So
That's a hot take, Zach. I like it. That's what we're about here. Hot takes. Let's go.
I got to come with the fire, man.
Right.
I do think it's going to be a close game. I do think Nebraska pulls it off. I think it's going to go, we'll go 24-21.
All right,
Okay.
Thomas, what you got for us?
I have a bold prediction. I'm going to say Austin Allen breaks his record that he did last week by 5 yards, gets 2 touchdowns on senior day. But the overall take would be at the end of the game. Iowa gets the ball, second to last, fumbles it, turns it over. Nebraska gets it on the 45. We get stopped, but we kick it on a field goal to win the game. 24-21 by Chase Contreras from Iowa Community College.
Okay, if he does that, does he blow the kiss?
I would.
Oh, you gotta.
I would go straight. I would do a Keith Duncan impression, definitely. That's a hell of a kicker, by the way. He's got a heck of a leg. Keith Duncan has my respect. He's definitely a bold man for doing that. That's a great picture that they have of him doing that. But my prediction is 24-21, just like everybody else. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, especially, definitely 2 teams that like to bloody each other in the lines. So it's definitely going to be a low-scoring, bruising affair.
Gotcha. Now, if that happens, guys, just to keep the Big Ten West sort of in perspective, if Iowa does lose on a kiss from that Nebraska kicker, right? And Minnesota beats Wisconsin and Purdue beats Indiana, which is going to happen, Minnesota would be your Big Ten West champion.
Just a good Ohio State.
Yep. It's basically a battle of who's going to go and get their asses kicked in Indianapolis to Ohio State. But
they look scary, don't they? They look scary.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the beginning they didn't. I think they've really kind of found who they are towards the end of the year. And just to kind of round things out, Wisconsin, all they got to do is beat Minnesota, and they're in. So, that being said, guys, that's pretty much the extent of our segment, except for Mailbag. And so, do we have anything, Bill, for our Mailbag?
Yep, I have just one question for the Nebraska folks, and it comes from our good friend Jake from Cedar Rapids, Carolina. I'll start with you. Oliver Martin has been all over the Big Ten, Michigan, Iowa City, and now Nebraska. Is the dude a bust or what?
I don't think he's a bust. I think the man actually has some good talent. You just never know what's happening behind closed doors with people. Obviously we all want to see him on the field to succeed, but it looks like he's probably wide receiver number 5. But the man has stepped into our punt returns and definitely has helped with that. So he's got some sure hands. I don't think he's a bust. I just think he might have some issues happening off the field that definitely has affected him getting some playing time.
Zach?
If he does transfer again, he could transfer to Wisconsin because he played DB for him really good in the game last week. I do think he finished this out in Lincoln, but after kind of what I've seen with that gator arm, I think I'm good. I'm set.
Yeah, you were very vocal about him on Twitter, and I went back and watched it. He definitely could have made a bigger play to help out our team for sure.
Yeah, you got to help your quarterback out. Your quarterback's the one that takes that stat as an interception. And you've seen Adrian out there slinging the ball all over the field. You got to help your quarterback out. At least get an arm up, block that down. You got to do something. Can't just hit the guy right here.
Martin is he's a sleeper agent for Iowa. He's definitely just Jason Bourne sabotaging us. That's all he is. Waking up.
He's just a mole. The teams ship around.
If he sleeper agent activated.
If he plays for Wisconsin, does he get like a ring of the Big Ten West? Like somehow he's almost played for every team.
He gets Infinity Stones. He just has the gauntlet.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys, from the mailbag?
Nope, that was it. I think the only other one we had was about Tyler Goodson needing 55 yards to crack 1,000, and yeah, that's going to happen.
Oh, you have a 1,000-yard rusher?
Potentially.
That's what's up. That's awesome. Good for him. He's probably going to get against us because 55 yards doesn't really seem like a tall task to get for any running back in the big.
Right.
Yeah,
right. So
but at the same time,
Goodson gets it.
we gotta. I mean, we gotta extend the drive via first downs in order to get him the opportunity to do that. And I don't know. Sometimes it seems kind of iffy, especially in the third quarter lately. And then also you got a guy by the name of Gavin Williams who's getting a lot of touches, number 25. So he's kind of a young guy who's been running pretty hard for us. So, I mean, I'd like to think that Tyler Goodson gets it, but I mean, I don't know. There's some things that are sort of working against him. 945 is what he got on the year. I can try to, in the background, I'll see what he had last week, but yeah. Perfect.
It's always a fun running back to watch as a Goodson. He's a stud. He's got speed. He's got power. He's not the biggest dude in the world, but man, he's got perfect balance too.
Mm-hmm.
132 against Illinois.
Yep.
So he could do it.
Very, very good game out of him. Yeah, and I definitely think he's gonna. I think they're finding a little bit more of that thunder and lightning, whereas with Goodson being the lightning and Gavin Williams coming in that thunder. So. I think honestly that's helped him more than anything because he's not a 4-down back just because as Zach alluded to his size where he's got decent size for a running back, but I think he has a tough time getting over 2 bills 200 pounds. So I think the emergence of Gavin Williams has helped him if anything, and gives him a chance to break off some big ones. And it's probably another one they remember from a few years back in Lincoln, but in 2019 he broke off a few big ones as well. So I definitely think the opportunity is there.
Perfect, guys. Well, it's been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Before we close it out, I just want to see if there's any closing thoughts about this Friday's game with our special guests. What do you think?
I'm nervous for the game. I think it's going to be a really good one. To be honest with you, I think both teams are going to show up. You know what you're getting with Iowa. You're getting a strong defense. Goodson's always a great player to watch. He's phenomenal. Johnson's going to be cool to see what he does coming back home for the game. You guys have had some studs at freshman receivers this year, which is kind of interesting considering Iowa. But hey, I mean, y'all had 2 studs this year. I'm excited, nervous to see what game plan Nebraska comes out with. I will say the atmosphere will be electric down there. I went to the Ohio State game, Michigan game, and this will be the 3rd one this year. The environment has been absolutely electric for every game. I think it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, same. I don't think that we can't get any better than that. Black Friday football, another notch in the rivalry. I really don't have any expectations from either team. They're both going to come out, hit each other hard. I'm just ready to see the future of Nebraska football with Logan Smothers, to see what he can bring out in this historic game. So I'm excited to see the future of Husker football.
Absolutely. And I mean, can't come out, especially in a game that, is just for pride and kind of to show off, what you can do as a young guy on the team. I mean, it sounds awesome. I'm excited to watch it too. I'm hoping that we come out with a win, but I really think it's sort of a toss-up, and you can tell that in the spread, obviously, with +1.5 there. Perfect, guys. Well, we're gonna close this. We're gonna close this episode out like we always do, which is how we hope we're gonna be feeling on Friday with some Hawkeye victory polka. So thanks so much for our special guest, Zach. He's on Twitter at ZSJRE5, and Thomas Smith, the Carolina Husker. He's at HuskerTom1997. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. It's been a great episode.
Thank you, fellas.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate
I
it.
really appreciate it.
Thank you. What do you have this weekend? In Miami? You have Duke? Oh, that's a dub. Well, I mean, that's a rivalry game. You got to think about when you face the in-state people, they're gonna punch you in the mouth regardless.